Hello everyone and welcome to this beautiful session where we are going to be discussing about greatness. I hope you are doing well and keeping safe. So in today's session we're going to be discussing the basics of greatness, why people desire to be great, and why everyone wants to be great but only few people end up becoming great. Now because I've mentioned greatness, some of us will start thinking about billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, Larry Page, Oprah, and the rest of them. Now, that is not actually where I am going. I want us to look at the general perspective of greatness. Yes, those people are great people and they are known all over the world. But I want you to know that there are some great people who are not known to be billionaires. Some of the greatest people in history did not end up becoming billionaires. Alright? So we are going to be looking at greatness in a wider perspective, not in the aspect of finances. Although you may be right to think about billionaires being great people, it is absolutely right. They have done great things and that is why they are known worldwide. And it is the reason why some people even regard those people as their mentors. They want to be also great, they want to be rich and all of those things. But I want to shock you with something, that there are people who actually want to be great, but they don't want to be known all over the world. There are some people like that. Some people want to be great, but they don't want their names to be mentioned, like the way these people's names are being mentioned. They want to be just great people in their own way. They want to have a private life. I have a very perfect example. Now, if people are being asked whether or not they want to be great, their response would be yes, we want to be great. If they are asked again whether or not they are great, whether individually or generally, then the answer or response becomes relative, depending on the person. So you see, this brings us to a point where we would ask the question, at what point would anyone reach and call himself or herself a great person? Now, this is a very difficult question to answer. Even the greatest people in the world had to get to a point, like Albert Einstein. He had to discover the theory of relativity, and then he called himself a great person. Then, let's start with knowing the basics. How human beings came to the point of realizing that there is an innate ability of being great in them. And some people believe that greatness is something that is deposited in their DNA and they have to extract it, give it to the world, and be known. Now, let's start with the hierarchy of needs, the theory of human motivation that was brought about by an American psychologist known as Abraham Maslow in 1943. Now, Abraham Maslow brought this theory and termed it the theory of human motivation because he believed that humans are motivated by basic needs, and once the needs are fulfilled, they are being motivated to go for the higher ones. So I'm going to be sharing with you this particular pyramid that explains the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is actually going to show you that the theory that is discussed in physics, the theory of thermodynamics, suggests that the entropy of an isolated system would always increase. Alright, the disorderliness of any system would always increase. Now, if you take a very good look at this pyramid, you would realize that it is divided into three different subgroups, where we have the basic needs, the psychological needs, and the self-fulfillment needs. Under the basic needs, we have the physiological needs, also known as the biological needs. We have the safety needs, and food, water, warmth, and rest are the basic components of biological needs. And once those needs are satisfied, you think about safety. How do you get safety? Now the next thing is your psychological need. Now you start thinking about love, friendship, and all of those things. So once these particular needs are fulfilled, the next thing you think about is the esteem, still in the psychological need. Think about esteem needs, you want prestige, and that is where greatness falls in. You think about self-esteem, you want to maintain your prestige, you want to feel accomplished, So all these needs are basically going to motivate you to desire for the higher ones. Once you're able to get some level of prestige and then you feel accomplished at a particular point in time, then you start thinking of how you can be self-fulfilled. Now, the self-fulfillment needs include achievement of one's full potential, including creative activities. You want to get to your full potential. You want to get to the culmination of your life experiences, right? So actually, that is the pyramid of needs. And I believe this has actually opened your eyes to see how people get to the point of desiring, because you cannot start thinking of greatness without having something in your stomach, right? So these needs are very important. That is how this thing grows, especially when we talk about the basic needs. The basic needs are very important. Then when you go to psychological needs, in fact, this is a very perfect example of why people come to terms with greatness. Now, the next question is why everyone wants to be great, but only few people end up becoming great. Now, at this point, I would like to invite my very good friend, Ankita Saxena, who will speak to us about this particular question.
And we all desire to be a great person, but only a few could become great. Because only a few were consistent, disciplined, and determined. They kept walking independent of audience and motivation, and they knew the worth of belongingness and compassion and spread the message of love.
Why is the other people are successful and they are not great in the society or in the world? It's very simple. Society depends on everybody, and everybody works might be, measured through what you do in the lives of other people or your impact in the life of society or other people. So in order to be a great man or great person in the world, you have to touch other people's life. You got to explore in the society to make sure that everybody be part of it. You have financially or morally or whatever aspect. You got to tell the people, reach out to other people and tell them how you reach at that stage so that you can serve as a role model to change a society. If you are great in finance or in business or in education, you got to go out there to teach people. You got to go out there to invest in the people. You got to go out there to do so many things that will impact people. Once people come around you and they start to hear your story, they start following you and start embracing them, there's a likelihood that they want to be like you, and the end result, you will be recognized as a great person. So being great in the world, it requires your impartation in the society and your work.
In conclusion, remember that in the beginning of this video, I stated that there are some billionaires in the world today that we regard as great people. And I clearly stated also that we are not going to actually base or direct our attention towards the finances. Now, there are some great figures in history, people. They made a lot of impact. And so today we call them great. We can list some of them. People like Socrates, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and many other people who made impact but were never billionaires. That should be our focus. And this brings our attention to defining the difference between greatness and success. Success is a pathway to greatness. No one can be great without achieving success, but people can be successful without being great. Yes, it is true, completely true, that there are people who are today successful in business or any other field you can think of, but are not great people. But there is no great man who has not achieved success at one point in time. This tells us that it is really important for us to pursue success, and in our paths to pursuing success, we try to become great at the end of the day. The difference between successful people and great people is that successful people only achieve a certain level of success and rest. But great people continue from where they achieve success and accumulate a lot of successes and become great people. They make impacts in the lives of people. For students, it is really important for you to know that school or college education is not scam. Yes, most of those great people I mentioned in the beginning of the video were school dropouts. But they dropped out of college because they had idea that they thought was great and they pursued the idea. So don't listen to motivations and drop what you're doing. Pursue education. It is the pathway to your success. And in pursuing that, don't try to be the best student. Just try to be a good student. If your being good makes you the best, then you accept it as a feat. But don't compete with other people in order to be the best, because the best students are not always the greatest students or are not always the most successful in real life situations. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.